One of the hardest things you can experience as a business owner is trying to build the right team. And to be totally honest, I'm not sure that it's something I'm 100% qualified to speak on just yet. I have a pretty good sized team, but I also can admit that semi-regularly I make mistakes with hiring and with how we onboard people and with training. I think we're good at it, but people don't always share that same opinion. So I'm going to talk to you today, not so much about recruiting in office. I'm going to talk to you about how you can start to recruit and build a team that's going to save you a lot of money in comparison to hiring people in the UK or in the United States or anywhere in the Big Five, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. How you can do that without sacrificing work quality, and how you can actually build a pretty killer team without having to have an office at any of those places. Now, I'm going to preface this that I do this thing, plus I also have an awesome office. I've got a full recording studio inside of here with tens of thousands of pounds of media equipment, so yeah, I understand that it's rich of me saying this sometimes. I've got a massive office next door with like a whole bunch of people doing things for me. So yeah, I do have an in-person team. So you might think to yourself, oh Richard, well if it's that easy, why don't you do it? I think for me and my nature of business and where I want to get to revenue-wise, this stuff is essential for me. I'm not saying that this is a hack to never having to hire people in person. This is just a way that we've built teams over the past couple of years that has saved a lot of money where we would have to spend a lot more. We actually done it the wrong way around. I started hiring full-time staff first and then started building my overseas team afterwards, and that's what we're going to talk about. But back at the start, if I'd thought about this or someone had spoken to me about it, I likely would have done it. And it would have helped me a lot financially at the start. Not because, well, I didn't have any money when I first started my business, obviously. We made money pretty quickly, but then I was just a complete useless fool that spent it all. So it probably would have been better if I didn't do that, and I could have built a team of absolute killers. So to help you understand, we've got our team in Glasgow, in the office with Growth Getters. I also share some admin team and some advisors with my business partner, Paul, who is based at a different office where we used to be. So there's probably like 7 or 8 people in there that aren't strictly my staff, but I get to use them, right? Which is good perks of having an awesome business partner, right? Then I have my own dedicated team, my personal team who are here at Growth Getters HQ in the city centre. And then I have a bunch of people in the Philippines, right? Now, I'm going to clear some misconceptions about the Philippines. Just quickly, this chair is creaking a little bit. I'm going to need to hit it with some WD-40 and an Allen key potentially. But let me clear up a couple of things, right? Because when I talk about building my team overseas and how amazing it is doing it, people just default to being like accidentally racist and think it's like an episode of Phone Jacker where I've got people on the phone who can't speak English and all sorts of mad stuff, right? The most commonly spoken language in the Philippines is, drumroll please, that doesn't sound like I can play the drums, but I can. It's English, all right? It's English. That's the most commonly spoken language, right? So everyone that we have in our team in the Philippines, which is so big now that I have to fly to Manila, me and Gary are flying to Manila in January to hire more people and look at potentially actually getting a big centralized office in the Philippines, right? You can call me Mr. Worldwide at that point. International entrepreneur, international business owner, Richard Dixon, right? But that's how big that team's getting. So it's getting pretty big. So everyone in our team speaks English. Everyone in our team has a degree for the roles where a degree is required. They are just as qualified, just as good as the people we have in Scotland. And with respect to some people I've interviewed and hired in the past, sometimes, 50% of the time, they're better, right? They're equal or better. So there's some huge benefits to this. Now, a point I'll make is that my team in the Philippines do nothing really that's customer facing. So what I mean by that is, do they communicate with customers sometimes? Yes, right? So in that aspect, they're customer facing. But do they have to do stuff in terms of outbound calling to customers and customer service or inbound calls? Firstly, we take no inbound calls at Growth Getters whatsoever. From non-clients. If you're a client, you'll have like a number for someone that you can speak to. But No one in my Philippines team is selling. No one in my Philippines team is doing appointment setting, although we did that in the past with pretty good-ish results for what it was, and at the time it worked, but it's not something we're going to do again. Pretty much everything in our Philippines team is creative, digital, automation, stuff like that. So we've got graphic designers, we've got copywriters, we've got full stack developers, we've got media buyers, we have got video editors that do our short film stuff. So a video like this, if you're watching it on YouTube, it's going to be my team in Scotland that edit it, but short film stuff like clips from podcasts like this are done by our team in the Philippines, right? So it's all creative stuff that we have out there, and we are always adding and always growing with that team. Now, I'm going to break down the cost savings for you using an example. I'm not going to go into the process or the savings really granularly, but I'll give you a breakdown here. For you to hire someone with 6 or 7 years of experience building on WordPress, for example, like a web developer on WordPress in Scotland, firstly, you're going to likely have to provide them with the kit that they need. We buy laptops for everybody in here. Everything we get is Apple. So you're going to be a MacBook Pro, plus you're going to be, different softwares and stuff, which you need to buy regardless. And then you're going to be the salary. The salary is going to be £35,000 to £40,000 a year, right? And by the way, that's what you pay the person. That's not what they cost, right? There is stuff that you need to pay on top of that to hire someone. There's pensions, there's people on holiday. People think that you just divide 40,000 by 12, bank transfer it to the person, they never take a day off, they never get sick. That's not how it works. It's likely that person will cost you 10 to 20% more, probably 20% more every single year. So if you're paying them 40,000, it's going to cost you 50,000 plus the kit and stuff on top. So you're looking at somewhere in the region of £4,000 per month, roughly, right? Plus a couple of £1,000s of startup costs at the start. My WordPress developer, who is in the Philippines, I pay them a really good salary in the Philippines. This is called labor arbitrage. This isn't called being like, a criminal. This is called labor arbitrage. You get labor cheaper in other countries. So you can pay someone what is like a really good living for their country, and it's still way less than what you would spend in Scotland. So our WordPress developer is a guy called Ken, who is awesome. He's very good at what he does. Really attentive. All of our team work UK hours, so 4 p.m. until midnight. Some of them, because they're just really good in terms of the work ethic, start early. I am yet to have a complaint from one of them, a sickness complaint. Oh no, we can't do that, this is too hard. The attitude and their approach to work is really awesome. And that's not taken for granted, by the way. Now, the salary for that position is in the Philippines is anywhere between 40,000 Philippine pesos on the low end, up to like probably 75,000 Philippine pesos on the high end. So when we bring people in, we pay them roughly in the middle at the start, and then we increase it up to 65,000, 70,000 pesos over the course of a few months when we make sure that the work is of a good quality. To let you know, the upper end of that scale, like paying someone really well, is like £800 a month. £800, right? For someone with like up to a decade of experience building, a big portfolio, great work ethic, their own computer. Yeah, you've got softwares and stuff you need to buy for them, and yeah, they're not in person, it's remote working. I don't offer remote working in Scotland, I only do it with my overseas team, but that's £800 a month. Like, I could get 8, 16, 24, I could get 6 people in that role for the cost of 1 in the UK, right? Like, that's pretty crazy to think about. Now, you can get access to virtual assistant agencies, and when you hear virtual assistant, most people default to like admin, bookkeeping, all that kind of stuff, which is really important and most VA agencies will specialize in. So if you are starting to get busy as an entrepreneur, the best thing you can do is get an assistant, someone who helps with your emails, your bookings, even like your personal life, like a lifestyle concierge, just someone who assists with the bandwidth required of your existence before you even think about getting staff in to make money, right? Managing your clients and all that kind of stuff. That's something that's going to cost like 30,000 Philippine pesos a month, right? 25,000. Someone that you'll pay like £400 a month for, right? So for the cost of what the average member of staff in the UK, and that cost of business is probably somewhere in the region of 3,500, you could have like 5 or 6 full-time staff in the Philippines. You could have a video editor. You could have a website developer. You could have an email marketer and copywriter. You could have a Facebook ads manager. You could have an admin assistant, and you could have an appointment setter. When you could have one person in the UK, right? And you sacrifice very little when it comes to the quality and what they're good at and the qualifications, all of that kind of stuff, right? You lose pretty much zero on that. That's me just being totally honest in my own experience. So it's important that you interview these people correctly. You sit down and you go through your expectations and you hire them like a real member of staff. We do 1-year contracts with our guys. They get salaries, they get benefits, they get sick pay, they get holiday leave, they get all the stuff that you would get if you were, a member of staff here in the UK, minus the fact that you're not here in the UK. It's really interesting when you can pay people much less than they would get if they were working in the United Kingdom, and they are so bloody happy. So I interview people sometimes. I had someone arguing with me on Indeed.com today, calling me a hypocrite because I wouldn't let them do an interview on Zoom. I was asking for them to come to the office and meet me, right? And they were like, oh, you're a hypocrite, you're meant to be a digital business. The attitude from employees or potential employees in the UK is probably an all-time low just now. I'm lucky that my team are awesome, and like for the most part, I haven't had many issues over the past couple of years, right? But if you could pay someone way less than someone in the UK and they would just be so grateful and so motivated and work so hard, it's an interesting feeling. And most of the interestingness of that feeling is this is really, really good. Yeah, I'm sure they'll do freelance work around what they're doing for you and all that kind of stuff, right? But if you're paying £800 a month for a highly qualified full-time member of staff who speaks fluent English and is always available when you need them and the work ethic is exceptional, don't really think you're going to have any reservations if they, are also doing some projects on the side to increase their income, right? That's not going to bother me too much. We're a business that champions entrepreneurship. Can't really be annoyed at people being entrepreneurs. That being said, if that was in my office, people in my office were doing freelance work at the same time as doing mine, I'm going to be pissed. But it's a totally different situation. It's not the same, right? So if you're in that kind of phase, the 2 big hubs, by the way, before I continue, for virtual assistants and virtual teams in the world, Manila in the Philippines, the world's most populous city, and Cape Town in South Africa. Those are your 2 big hitters where the price and quality is really good. Your price isn't terrible, the quality is great. When you start looking at Thailand, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, those are not places that I use and probably never will, to be totally honest. I'm going to stick with my team in the Philippines because they're loyal, they're awesome, they're great people. I love working with them. They're so polite, they're so kind, their work ethic is insane. And that's why we're going to go to Manila in January. That's why we're going to, do a hiring event there. We're going to bring more people into the team because honestly, I could have a complete full-time operational office there, hire management staff, do this properly in a big way, and have very little reservations about it because I know the quality of the people that are there. I've had way less issues off my Philippines team than I've ever had in the UK with full-time staff here. So if you're someone who's looking to start hiring, you're someone who's looking to start building a team, and you're thinking, hey, by the way, yeah, you're not going to get like a virtual electrician or plumber. This is for stuff that can be done remotely. If you are needing to start building that team to grow your enterprise, to give yourself more bandwidth, but you're thinking, Richard, I'm a growing startup, I can hardly pay myself a decent salary or even an average salary, but I need people to come in and I need people to help, and I'm trying to get people to buy into my vision and come in and work, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to give away shares in my business, but then even then I can't get experts to come and do stuff. What am I going to do? This is your solution. Go onto websites like Upwork, like Fiverr, go and contact virtual assistant agencies. There's virtual assistant recruitment companies out there, that will help you build these styles of businesses. You're gonna want to go and speak to them because you're gonna get the skills that you need, the work ethic that you need, the just the motivation, all that kind of stuff that you need to take your business forward at a fraction of the costs, at much less what you would have to spend in the UK. So you can start hiring and scaling more aggressively using overseas labour that you can benefit from labour arbitrage on. My recommendation is you start using something like Slack, Asana, Trello. These are just work management tools that will help you keep a hand on people who are overseas, and with your in-person team as well. It definitely helps, but you don't want to be someone who is stuck always chasing up on WhatsApp or Telegram or via text message or email to try and get updates. You're setting project deadlines in Asana and Slack, and people are communicating through there, so you can keep an eye on the stuff that's getting done. That's one of the most important things you can do to make sure that these teams don't end up consuming you. They're meant to save you time, not cost you time, right? So if you're in that growth phase, I recommend getting a team overseas. If you're already coming to the end of your growth phase, you've got anywhere between 2 and 20 employees in the UK, start thinking about what you can outsource overseas. Start thinking about what you can take to the Philippines, what you can take to South Africa in order to benefit from the savings on labour, because you'll be able to bolster your team hugely. I think we're, in terms of the hands that are touching our projects in the Philippines, we've got like 15 people with us now. That would cost me, for me to get that stuff in-house, that would cost me another probably around 600,000 a year in Scotland, a little bit more maybe. So it really, really, really helps. It really makes your business go to a different kind of level. So regardless of what level you're at, I'm talking to the scalers here, to the go-getters, to the hustlers, who are in that phase looking to start taking people on, go and do it. But if you're a big business, I'm not saying to go and start bulleting your staff to bring in people that are virtual, but the next time you hire, think to yourself, that stuff that Richard was saying, could that be any good? Because I guarantee you'd probably get a better result than you actually realise from doing this stuff. Look, I hope this has helped you with some of your scaling ideas. I hope it gives you a little bit more confidence in looking at overseas labour. I was very critical for a long time. My attitude was certainly changed when I started building this team and realised how amazing the labour was in other countries. So if this has helped, please like, subscribe, 5-star rating, all that kind of stuff would be really appreciated. Helps motivate me to continue making this content. And yeah, keep scaling, keep getting after it, grow that business, retire your uncle or whatever the hell it is you want to do. And I'll catch you on the podcast again very, very soon. Cheers.